live stream's on. Just picked it up.
Hello, sir.
Five people, it should be, nobody's come back, is there any way I can get a?
I think you'll usually be able to tell. Let's see. See where we're at.
Come back.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Because I would agree with that.
My mind's set.
You better not. Denise, hello. Ben, how are you?
Joe May filling in for
Joe.
Ray this evening, conflict attorney.
How you doing?
You've met him once before.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote it.
Few times.
Scotty's not busier around this time.
Bring an extra copy for you.
Probably soon.
You don't do outlines, but.
I'd like to open the special meeting for the Point Pleasant Beach Board of Adjustment for August 6, 2026. Get a reading of the Open Public Meetings Act, please.
Adequate notice of the time this meeting was given under the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act and was posted and sent to the official designated newspapers in compliance with the law.
Roll call.
Mr. Neal?
Here.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Here.
Chairman Strunkus?
Here.
Mr. Clayton?
Here.
And Mr. Loder?
Here.
Oh, limited roll call.
Limited roll call, yes. So I have three sets of minutes. Your initials are listed if you can vote. Motion to approve April 28th.
So moved. Second.
Vice Chair Reynolds
Yes.
and Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
And I'm sure that was Chairman Strunkus, and I did a D instead of an S.
Yes.
Motion to approve the May 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Clayton?
Yes.
And Chairman Strunkus.
Yes.
Motion to approve May 21st, 26 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Clayton?
Yes.
And Chairman Strunkus.
Yes.
And be it resolved by the Board of Adjustment that it hereby memorializes the action of vote approving application 2026-14 of 804 808 Arnold Avenue LLC with conditions. Motion to memorialize?
So I make a motion to memorialize 2026-14-804.
Second.
Second.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Clayton?
Yes.
Mr. Loder?
Yes.
And Chairman Strunkus.
Yes.
And our only application on this evening is application 2026-18 of Paul Bongsberg, 306 Hawthorne, Representative Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, John Jackson on behalf of Paul Bonsfer and Point Beach Interiors. Mr. Bonsfer is here this evening. With your permission, I would like to mark as A3, as I believe is the board's custom, or PowerPoint consisting of 16 pages. So with that being done, I'll just give you a little overview. We're here with Mr. Paul Brugorber of PDR, and also Anthony Donatello from Lindstrom, Deezer, and Carr, and of course, Mr. Jeff Carr, who will be serving as our engineer and planner. So up on the screen is the rendering of the structure that Mr. Brugorber has designed. As you can tell, he has tried to give it like a residential character. What this is, it's on Route 35, which, as the board knows, has kind of like a mix of uses. Across the street are some homes. Up and down 35 are various types of storage warehouses, boat yards, office buildings, etc. So we think that what Mr. Brugorber has designed fits well within that mixed type of uses. Mr. Carr will cover that in his planning testimony. So what we're seeking, Point Beach Interiors, which, as the board knows, is one of the, I say this all the time with our businesses in town because we have a lot of them. It's one of the staples, the icons of downtown Point Pleasant Beach. It's right in the center where Bay Avenue intersects with Arnold, and it's a very nice store. People come from all over. It's a nice high-end store in our retail center. So what Mr. Bonsper needs is room to store his furniture. The store is inadequate. It doesn't work to have it off-site, so what he wants to have is it's really not fair to call it a warehouse, because it's not a warehouse in the general sense, although that's maybe the best characterization from, strict land use. But what it is, it's like the materials will come in, the couches and different types of furniture, and then they'll go out, and he needs a place to stage them in the meantime. So this storage area, it's more like a remote back room for Point Pleasant Beach Interiors. Here are the architectural renderings. We have Mr. Rugwarver. We think that they're more or less self-explanatory, but he is, of course, here to answer the board's questions about the architecture. Mr. Carr will talk about the site plan, site circulation, deliveries, et cetera, through the site plan, and there's the circulation. It's interesting because you actually circulate under the building through a portion of it. So that's basically an overview, and with your permission, I'd like to have Mr. Carr sworn, qualified as an expert in the field of engineering and planning.
Do you swear or affirm a testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Jeffrey J. Carr, C-A-R-R, principal with the firm of Lindstrom, Diesner, Carr and Brick.
Yeah, just give us your highlights. You've been here many times before, but just,
I have. Despite my youthful appearance, I've been doing this for a few years. Graduated New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Summa cum laude?
Sooner or later is more like it. 1979, been practicing engineering and planning for all those years thereafter.
Very
My
good.
license is current.
yep, that's all we need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carr, with the chairman's permission, can you please give the board an overview of the application, the site, the zone, what's there now, what we propose to do, and then we'll go through the, how the site lays out and works, circulation, parking, and then we'll, of course, talk about the reasons for the variances.
Sure, if you could flip up the site plan there, I'll go, right there. Site's located on Route 35 northbound, to the left of the plan, and the orientation here, this is just simply the site plan that's part of the set. Top of the plan is Route 35 northbound. To the left is an existing, I'll call for lack of better terms, a warehouse, a storage building to our left, office building to our right. Currently, the site is developed, and I believe it's two units right now on the property, though the site has been used for other uses over the years. It's that the house is located in the upper left-hand corner of the site. You can see it grayed out on the site plan, and the rest of the site, for the most part, is a gravel parking area, packed gravel. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. The concept here is relatively simple. We're going to raise the existing building and construct a new building on site. The new building will be 7,664 square feet. It'll be 2 stories. And the circulation is not typical of what you might expect on commercial sites. Our original design had a 2-way driveway coming in with an entrance into the back for vehicles and the building, and then exiting out of the building. We submitted the plans to the NJDOT, and they said, no way, we can't do that. You must have only one single driveway or two one-way driveways, one in, one out. So we spoke with Mr. Bonsper about that dilemma, and we revised the site plan to have a one-way in on the right-hand side. You enter and you come around the back, and then you enter the building, and then you would exit the building. So that satisfied the NJDOT. It also satisfies Mr. Bonsper's requirements because it's a relatively simple site. As Mr. Jackson indicated, it's a site that's really ancillary or back room for the operations of his storefront. It's, for the most part, I'll say unmanned. It will have somebody there part-time during the mornings, which will break down some boxes, assemble some product, and then bring it to the store And that's typically how it works. So for the most part, it's one, maybe two employees at most, and they'd be there part-time, and they're basically laborers. They work out of the store, but they would do some assembly, break down boxes. So it's relatively simple. Since there aren't employees on the site, and so the overhead and the circulation through the building works. Unfortunately, having a two-way access didn't work, because then you'd have to make U-turns inside the building, and of course, that takes a lot of space and maneuvers, and you don't wanna be doing that inside the building. There's 3 parking spaces on site, as I indicated. For the most part, they're not going to be used. The handicap parking spaces in front, 2 additional parking spaces in the back. But as I indicated, the way it operates is that the workers would come in a van or a box truck, and they would enter the building, and then they'd take that same vehicle out, so.
Let me just outline this. So right there where I just circled in blue, that's for the
That's the handicap parking space, and there's an entrance in the front, and then 2 parking spaces are in the rear in what is basically an inset into the building on the first floor, with the second floor being above those parking spaces to form the rectangle as if you were looking down. We do have a trash enclosure on the site. Backing up to the parking, on the right-hand side, there are 2 additional parking spaces that are parallel to the right, correct, in that area there. So there's a total of 5 parking spaces on site, though we don't anticipate that they would ever be used, or at the most, one vehicle. We do show a trash enclosure. That's typically a requirement, though, as I indicated, this is a back room use here. What the proposed operation would be is that the gentlemen who work in there to break down the boxes, they'll actually bring those boxes back to the main store where they go for recycling. So any garbage that's generated on the site, even if they happen to have some bagel and coffee in the morning when they're working, they would just bring that garbage back to the main store. So even though we have a trash enclosure, there really isn't any need for it. The rest of the site is landscaped. The perimeter site is landscaped. The front of the site is landscaped. As you saw from the architectural, and there's lighting as well, so there's adequate lighting in there. Though this is not a night operation, but there is adequate lighting in the front and the rear and sides of the driveways. The site itself, we think is well designed for the particular use, low intensity. As I indicated, there'd be probably a couple hours a day, and 1 or 2 trucks coming in, and they're typically vans or box trucks, and then periodically there would be offloading of larger deliveries. Other than that, it's a relatively simple site, low-key site, as you saw from the architectural plans. Even though this is called a warehouse, for lack of any other term, I'm not sure that I would call it a warehouse. If you think of warehouse, basically, there are operations that are standalone, where people, things are brought to or sold and wholesaled and delivered. This is basically a storage room for the business itself. So it doesn't necessarily act as a warehouse per se. The front of the building you saw, and the sides, resemble the same. It looks like a house, and that, we tried to fit that in as best as we can. I think the architect did a fantastic job on that. Went through a couple of iterations to kind of spruce it up, but you can pull that up
I
again.
don't know why my other computer, as usual, worked, so I got this one. But I wanted to get the color rendering up there. And you wanna look at the front elevation?
Yeah, if we could, just to tie in, the use there. You got the rendering?
You're rendering
Oh,
this?
no, this one, that's good. That's good. So we're streaming. What are we picking?
Sorry,
Are you putting something on Netflix?
it's better than us.
Ah, that's better, that's better. As you can see, you know, the whole concept here was, you know, to make it look like it fits in, so it doesn't look like your typical warehouse. And a perfect example is on the right side of the picture, and it's kind of blurred out there, but there's a large warehouse to the right. I'm sure everybody knows what that one looks like, and it looks like a warehouse, smells like a warehouse, feels like a warehouse. This one doesn't. It's just, there's no other slot of definition that it really fits into. But it's got an overhead garage door, a driveway so it almost looks like a garage for a car. It's just a little taller. The front entrance is well landscaped, sidewalk to it from the handicap parking spaces. Even as you can see in this rendering here, just the one car there almost looks like you're parking in front of the house. The upstairs has several windows, the downstairs has windows, and that was all with the intent to make it have some curb appeal. Some of the office buildings to the north of us are your typical office buildings, so it fits in with the character of the neighborhood, and you can see the landscaping both in the front, on the side, in between the two driveways. So we think it fits well with the character. And that's generally the engineering part of it and the description of the site and how it's going to be used.
All right, I'm gonna bring this up now. I'm sure you could already go to the architect with it, but the rendering up there does not match the architect's rendering. It has-
Well, we have a couple of sets, so in Mr. Jackson's PowerPoint, it does match, it's just
Right,
not
but
color.
Mr. Jackson's not building the house.
No, I know, I'm
The
saying
architect
then
is.
we have another set where it's like, looks like an older version.
Yes, that was an older version, so that's probably the one that got circulated, but the updated version will match this. So those features that you see there, those windows, the banding around the building, those will be on the plan. You might have a more, once we went through that first iteration, we all sat down and said, you know, we gotta spruce this up a little bit, and certainly the applicant, Mr. Boswell, was more than happy to do that.
So what we see on the front cover of the PowerPoint is what we get in terms of the aesthetic
Correct.
outline of the building.
Correct? Correct?
And again, that was a consequence of our review meeting to saying, we've got to spruce this up a little.
All right, one more question.
Sure.
In regards to deliveries, is the tractor trailer gonna have to stop traffic to back down that driveway?
No, there's a shoulder there, and there's ample room in the shoulder area. They get one, maybe two deliveries a week, and they're there typically from 15 to 20 minutes. They'll use the overhead doors, so they'll be parking in front of the site, offload several pieces of furniture, but they don't get a lot as far as deliveries. And to prevent them backing in and out of that, they'll use the shoulder area, which is an allowable area for that, and there's ample room to do so. They won't be blocking anybody's driveways. They'll be pulling in and using the driveway that's shown on this rendering, the left, and bringing it into that overhead door. And this, what Mr. Jackson brought up now is just a colored rendering of the site plan. Makes it a little bit easier to see. You can see the gray areas. The only difference in this is that this basically shows the cutout as if the second floor wasn't there. So if you were really looking from the sky, you wouldn't see that inset in the middle of the L there. You wouldn't see that because that's covered by the second floor, and you can see that in this rendering here. Second floor overhangs those parking spaces.
From an engineering perspective, and Mr. May, you could weigh in here as well, you're over on impervious, and then there's two things, I guess, items 6 and 7 in the letter kind of speak to the design waiver and storage volume and all that, and then 7 mentions it again, so just curious how you're dealing with being over on impervious and what all
Well,
this means to
in-
us, and how you're dealing with the order.
Okay. I guess there's a couple ways to look at that, and we've had some discussions with Mr. May on that. It depends on how you look at the impervious coverage. Building coverage, we're way lower than what's allowable. And of course, the building's getting larger than the existing building. As I indicated, the site is packed with gravel. It's been used as a parking lot for as long as I can remember. Based on NJDEP standards, and we're going through this we go through this a lot with the DEP and other municipalities. Gravel is considered by NJDEP as impervious surfaces for the point of calculations. So depending on how you weigh that out, it's either we don't think that we're really increasing it much. It's about 1%, 2% that we're increasing the impervious coverage, but we're also adding a lot more landscaping around the perimeter there. So we don't think while we're over it, we don't think it's a big change in what is existing there. Notwithstanding, based on the current ordinances, we are exempt from the stormwater regulations. One is we're only 12,500 square feet, and we don't increase the impervious coverage, even if you count the gravel as pervious pavement or porous. We still don't increase it, and that basically is what the bottom half of item 6 kind of alludes to.
Yeah, I
And
just
then
want to get
item
clarification.
7.
I want to get clarification on something you said. You said we didn't increase it much, but your drawings say that the existing is 12% impervious.
Well, if we count that as gravel,
Isn't that what it is?
Well, it is, but if we count it as porous, NJDEP standards say it's not porous, it's not permeable.
That's because when you park on top of gravel, they consider it
They
compact.
consider it compacted.
Wanna weigh in over there?
Mr. Chairman, in my opinion, I would consider gravel impervious. After it gets driven over, you get the same amount of runoff, either if it's paved or packed gravel. in this
Right.
instance.
So you would have taken your eraser and erased that and changed the
Yes, we'll
existing?
modify that, but after we looked at this in a review letter, we discussed with Mr. May, and of course, items 6 and 7 kind of speaks to that. The bottom of 6 is really how that definition goes, that if you don't increase it by a certain amount, and I don't want to put words in Mr. May's mouth, but item 7, I believe, basically says, yeah, they're exempt, and the explanation is because the gravel is considered impervious surfaces.
All right, one more question while we're on impervious. The application shows 76.9, and Mr. May, your report shows 81.8 for proposed. The application, yeah, you're right. Yeah, my bad, the application shows 81.8, engineering shows 76.9.
Yeah, that's, as we calculated from the cover sheet, the 76.9.
Right, the 76.9 is what we calculated. I'm not sure if the same thing, the application might have been the original application prior to
All right,
making
but
some modifications.
I wanted to bring
with
it
the-
up because.
With the DOT.
Make sure we're clear on what we're.
Mhm.
Typically, at the time of the application, it's a rough number until they finalize the plans. Mr.
So-
Chairman, I have two schools of thought on drainage like this. It does help, but at the same time, when you really need the help, they're overwhelmed anyway. So for small rain events, they work, but these drainage systems and these large rain events are kind of pointless. So it's up to the board's preference whether you would like to see it or not.
Is that a drainage plan?
You were talking about a drainage plan for this, or are you just
I'm
talking about
referring
like
to his narrative.
French drains, dry
It
wells?
does meet the exemption through DEP, but the borough ordinance.
I understand the exception is there, but again, he's also over on this, so he's looking for another exception, so keep on piling exceptions on, we turn, you know, a smaller problem to a bigger one.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Or someone's not turning it in.
I mean, certainly we'll defer to the board on that. I mean, certainly we can add some porous, you know, underground piping and some recharge. You know, certainly we're amenable to that.
I mean, one of the challenges that we have here in town is FEMA, right?
Mhm.
So they rate our CRS rating is based on coverage. And, you know, they can come into the Borough Hall anytime and check our records and see variances we're issuing and what types of variances they are and how they're gonna impact water leaving the
Understood.
area. So you're going to
I hear that more and more from
70% here is an
municipalities.
awful large amount of coverage in an area, so.
Would it be appropriate to, I have to wait for this. As was discussed, can we amend or
Yeah,
zoning table to show the existing impervious based on the
we
compacted
can
gravel?
do that, and we can certainly work with Mr. May on adding some recharge areas, whether it be some perforated pipe and some stone trenches, you know, with roof drainage. We can certainly reduce the impervious, or the runoff.
Is that what you were saying? You don't find those to be overly effective because of the size
My
of this
point
site?
is, they work for small rain events, but when we have large rain events, they're
Right.
full instantly for the sizing of them. If you do wanna try to split the baby, so to speak, I would have it at a minimum, just recharge the roof runoff, it's clean, it doesn't have to do any filtering, and let the parking lot go out to Highway 35.
And we'll work with Mr. May on coming up with an appropriate design on that. And he's right, it doesn't control the large storms, the 100-year storms, but it does have a slight impact. But,
And I don't believe, is this in a flood zone, this property? I don't think
no,
so.
it's not.
So, Mr. Loder, I don't know if that affects FEMA rating, but we're not in the flood zone.
I think it is in the new flood zone, John.
It will be.
The recently issued, well, I believe it is, because now the flood zones in parts of town go west of 35 South. So there are even homes, and I live on New Jersey, or Atlantic Avenue, there's homes on my 700 block of my street that are in the flood zone.
When the new flood zone comes out with the 4 feet.
Oh, it is, it's already out.
There'll be.
The new map is out.
Yeah. But certainly we can, which, again, as Mr. Ray pointed out, so it helps those smaller storms, but the one that's mapped on a 100-year storm, it really has no effect on those storms because, you know, the entire borough is flooding. So is Jackson, and so is Trenton and everything else, by the time it gets done.
What is the permeable, drivable surface? Is there one?
There's porous pavement. I'd probably recommend though, and again, we work with Mr. May on this, but
Yeah.
I'd probably do subsurface rather
I
than,
would rather see dry wells for the roof area.
Yeah.
Permeable pavement comes with maintenance, which quite frankly, let's be honest, it doesn't get done.
Right.
It doesn't work after a year. It's supposed to be done biannually. It's a feel-good measure that doesn't work after a while.
I agree, Mr. May. I think the more appropriate would be some recharge below the surface or.
Yeah, I'm just trying to address the board's uncomfortableness with the overage on, you know, we're starting with a lot that's gonna be raised and blank, and to Mr. Loder's point, you get 70% allowable, and we're at 76, so, I don't know, Ben, right? It seems like, we have an opportunity there, right, to work through that in some way? Maybe?
I could do the math.
Jeff, could you do like
Yeah, and in fact, you know, one of the things we can do is the parking spaces to the right of those, the arrow, travel at the 2 parking spaces on that side, plus, you know, the paved area all the way down towards the back of the property. You know, we could probably do something there where we do grass pavers. As I indicated, we don't expect that those would ever be used. So if we use grass pavers, essentially what we've done is there's a hard surface there for vehicles if need be, but at the same time, it adds some green area and,
We have,
or even land bank those parking spaces if the board feels more comfortable with that. Certainly, we don't need the parking for there, so we can either do grass pave, which eliminates them, you know, which eliminates it altogether, or we can land bank them and just put them
what's
in
the
there if
square
needed.
footage of those what's the square footage of those 2 spaces? What are they, 10 by 20?
Well, if they're, you know, roughly 200 square feet a piece,
So 400 square feet if we.
well, plus the end piece is about the same size there, where it's striped for no
So if we
parking.
made that impermeable, pervious pavers, which,
Right,
that would give us 300 square feet less of pervious.
right. Well,
50%.
you know, close to 600 square feet of
I think
less
that counts.
impervious.
Yeah, my apologies, I just
What's
looked
that?
this up on the FEMA map, and that property's not in the flood zone.
I'm sorry, Mr. Logan?
It's
The
not in the
property is
flood
not
zone.
in the flood zone.
Correct,
With the new map, it's not in the flood zone.
even with the new maps.
Correct.
Correct.
It's Point Pleasant Beach Mountain over there.
Just wondering why I get nosebleeds when I go up to the gas station.
I'll let you kind of sum it up, Mr. May, with what you've
Mr.
heard.
Chairman, I would recommend that they consider recharging 1 inch over the roof area of the building only. Stay away from the grass pavers, put the dry wells in the front for that capacity. It's about 150 cubic feet, which would address the building. Let, you know, grass pavers, impervious pavers, aesthetically, you know, looks so great after a couple of years. And keep the site neat for snow plowing, you'll bust it up. Dry wells are a cheap, easy remedy, it satisfies.
So you feel that dealing with the 6% overage through that is
And that's
wise.
gonna address more than your 6%. I
Yep.
mean, that does still the roof area of the building at 1 inch, about 150 cubic feet if I have that correct.
Does anyone on the board have
And
any
you said
questions?
1 inch?
You know,
Yeah,
I
1
would-
inch over the roof
the
area. Yeah, that's fine.
So
So we
for the
make that
drywall
part of the
system.
conditions, or that still have to just redo the?
I do believe.
Well, we'd be
looking at the
correcting that
reports
as
that
part of it,
the water
but,
table
yeah.
is relatively low, there's no water table issue there.
We haven't done the soil logs, but I would imagine, as we indicate, this is one of
You
the
have enough room in the front.
higher parts of the town, so. And we would make them shallow anyway, so. And if it's roof drainage, we're not concerned so much about the separation, because
Yeah.
it's clean water,
Yeah,
so
it doesn't
we don't have to have the 2-foot separation to the
Filter,
water
correct.
table.
So you have that as a condition, Ben?
Couple of those things.
All right.
I think I have one more question.
Yes.
Number 1 on the engineer's report. The application is seeking variance for construction of a 2-story warehouse storage structure that is not permitted. Is it expressly not permitted, or is it just
Warehouses
omitted?
are not permitted in that zone.
Okay.
Well, you mean they're not precluded, they're just omitted, therefore they're not allowed.
That's my question, right.
Yeah, it doesn't say warehouses
It's not-
shall not be allowed in this
that's-
zone,
you
they're
get-
just
we-
not listed as a permit.
We have that
The-
back and forth every time something like this comes up, so that's why I'm asking.
It's an odd situation in the ordinance, because you don't see this in many ordinances, but Point Pleasant Beach has the ordinance that lists the allowable uses.
It's a good
This is
result.
not allowed, in fact, there's no zone in Point Pleasant Beach at all that allows warehouse or storage. But there's also, which the odd part is, Point Pleasant Beach also has a section of the ordinance that says these items are prohibited uses.
That's
It
the,
is not on that prohibited use, so it's not prohibited in the town, yet it's not allowed in the town.
Get your head around that.
It's just,
Well, that's
it's
the
just
reason for my
missing,
question.
it's missing in between.
right, we understand, we deal with that all the time, that's why I made the
Okay.
question.
there's nothing, that whole area is highway commercial, right? Where the warehouse right next to it is the big giant one.
Correct.
For A1.
Yes, that whole strip of Route 35 is.
That goes
is
warehouse,
highway
warehouse,
commercial.
warehouse, warehouse, warehouse. They're all not supposed to be there.
No,
They're grandfathered in.
And then, of course, we have the railroad tracks behind us.
Mr. Clayton, you had a question?
Yes. The second to last page with the site-specific comments as far as the landscaping, are you just knocking down the 2 trees and just putting up shrubs and?
And we'll add some additional trees in here. We have landscaping, shrubs and landscaping you saw there, but
Where are you gonna add
we
the
would,
trees?
we would add street trees in there as well. We would agree to that.
You know, I asked because I obviously drove the property today, and those are 2 nice trees that fit in with the surrounding area.
If we can save them, we certainly will try. I'm not sure if they fit.
I was gonna say, I don't think you were gonna keep them.
The one on the one in this picture on the top is not going to be able to save, but we may, I'd have to double check on that one, the one on the left.
Mr. Chairman,
But we would agree to
I
replace.
looked at that as well, and that was one of the more finer points, and I'll wait for you folks to go through your comments, and then I'll just touch on a couple of things I'll ask to get on the record.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson, just to be clear, we started asking questions, but I don't know if you're done, because when you're done with the testimony, I was expecting that you would go through each point in the letter and just make sure we've hit them all.
Yeah, we can
So-
do that. I have the letter right here, and we'll put it right up, and we'll check them as we go. So, Mr. Clark, if you had an opportunity to review the letter of July 23rd, 2026 by Mr. May,
I have.
we have the aerial photos. He indicates what is reviewed, and then we're looking for the D1, for the 2-story warehouse, and we discussed more precisely what it is. Highway commercial, 10,000 required, we have 12,500. The variances are listed from the, I know variances on the use variance are subsumed within the use variance, but comparing it to the actual zoning that's there now, we would have rear yard setback is 6 versus 5.4.
No, the side setback,
I'm sorry.
side setback.
10's required, we have 5.4, we're improving that to 6,
Correct.
and that.
And that's on the side, the south side, adjacent to the warehouse that's there already. And just as a point of reference, that warehouse does not meet the 10-foot side setback as well. That's 8 feet to that side. And their front is, while the front is required to be 25, which we meet the front setback, that setback is not met. That's only 15 feet. So that'll mitigate that side yard variance in that you wouldn't be able to see that unless you got immediately 90 degrees to it and looked immediately to your right.
So our building coverage, 50 is allowed, we're going to 33.8. Impervious, 70 is allowed, 76.9 we're requesting, we've discussed that at length. Building height, we haven't talked about that, 35 feet versus 37 and a half. Is that due to having the circulation go under the building?
That's some of it, the circulation, you certainly need clear heights for the overhead doors. And of course, in as much as there's storage in here and oftentimes larger storage, the extra height is needed for the storage.
So those are the bulks that we look for, and testimony to prevail for a use variance, special reasons, et cetera. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to go to the bulks again, the design waivers. Storage volume for each 12 square feet of new impervious cover. So can you address item 6?
Yeah, that's what we talked about, and we would agree to provide the recharge area for the 1-inch of roof runoff.
7 regarding
That just,
stormwater.
right, and that
was
just
repeated
doubles
as well.
back on 6.
So, testimony regarding trip generation, Mr.
Yeah.
Bonsworth's testimony, you said that there would be light in and out?
Exactly, this is I won't call it, unmanned, but for the most part, there wouldn't be somebody there. For a couple hours a day, I believe in the morning, Mr. Bonsworth said that somebody would be there dismantling some boxes that will come in, putting furniture together, and they'd be using the company vans to go back and forth. So it's minimal traffic.
And as far as, if you use this as a characterization as a warehouse, it's kind of a tiny warehouse, right? I mean, it's not like a commercial warehouse where you expect trucks in and out.
Yeah, it's, and we talked about that in the introduction. I don't know a better term to use other than warehouse, but I think Mr. Jackson summed it up, that this is really the backroom operation to something, and if he could do it on site, he'd prefer to do it on site rather than sending a van back and forth, but it doesn't lend itself to that, and there's a need for that, for the business in town.
Proposed improvements, we went through that. Testimony regarding will fit in the character of the neighborhood. I think we addressed that, or I did anyway. In your view, is this style of architecture?
Well,
fit with the
I think so. It's a mix. Everybody, including board members, have already mentioned, there's a multitude of different uses there, from Dunkin' Donuts, TD Bank, gas stations, marine shops, boat storage, warehouse, and office buildings, multifamily uses across the street, single family. It's a mix. We think this fits in well. If anything, if there's any point I can make, is that this building, and you saw for yourself, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but this does not look like a warehouse. It looks like an office building, or it looks like a house. So we took that into effect, or into consideration when the architecturals were designed.
number of employees, hours of operation, you covered that. What would be our latest hours of operation? This isn't a 24/7.
No, this is basically a daytime operation.
Retail hours essentially?
Retail hours, correct.
Mr. Bosker's indicating they're done by 2 in the afternoon. Applicant, building materials, self-explanatory. We have the architect, but what you see is what it'll look like. I don't know if you want to have Mr. Rugarber discuss the actual types of materials, et cetera. He's here if you want it, but we'll provide that it will look like the rendering. The street trees will be removed for reconstruction. Where do we leave off on the street trees? We're gonna try.
We would add additional street trees along the frontage there. We have no issue on that. We understand the sensitivity of it, and certainly we want to make this look nice. I'd also point out that there's no signage on here. It's not something that we're inviting customers to. It's not a retail operation, which will help in the looks of it, more of a residential office character.
The site plan shows the details like for handicap. There'll be parking there, and then you'll have the striping on the pavement as well as that other direction.
Yes, that's correct.
Fire water service, 6-inch water main, that's really a construction issue. Fire suppression system, will comply with the fire code?
Correct. There's gonna be a fire service line into the building. I believe that might have already been installed to the site, since there was construction ongoing along the highway by the water company. But it will have a sprinkler system.
That door will be open, the overhead door that you described when the trucks need to leave to circulate out of the
Correct.
site. So that'll be, that helps enforce the idea that this is for the, very light usage. No outdoor storage is proposed, I'll make that representation. The types of materials, it's furniture. I think that's been covered. Landscaping, we addressed that. Number of parking spaces was calculated. How did you come up with the?
Basically twofold. One is, we just tried to provide ample parking for the type of use. As I indicated, it's more than what's needed, especially since the workers basically drive the vans into there. So it's more than what we need, but what kind of the driving force was how much storage Mr. Bonsford needed for his operation, and how the operation functioned. There's even a cutout on the bottom so that we can get some additional parking there, but it's basically based on employee need.
customers don't come here?
Correct.
Will the vans be parked there overnight?
For the, I'm sorry, overnight?
When,
No.
when the operations, the warehouse is closed, say?
No, they would be back at,
Yeah, there's
oh,
been,
they would be parked
there's
there.
been vans parked there for years, it's been
They would be
fine,
parked,
out of the way.
they would be
yeah.
parked there, the vans would be parked there.
Inside or taking the parking spaces? Or,
One will be inside and one will be in that cubby.
We gotta
And
get,
they cut out underneath.
we're gonna have him answer.
I'll bring them up and cover that. Put that on the list. Movement, circulation, we discussed that, particularly for the refuse vehicle. We indicated that this isn't, you know, the dumpster's required. But with that said, how can how can trash get picked up here in the event? How will that work?
Well, they would use, either it would be, if trash was picked up from here, they would use those 2 parking spaces in the cutout to make the K-turn in there, or they'd be, depending on who's there, what operation's going on. It's possible, but probably not probable, that they would go through the building, but as we indicated, this is not a site that is going to generate trash. The recycling is gonna be brought back to the main store, but if a garbage truck was needed, it would just use the K-turn for those 2 parking spaces.
I would imagine packing material will make some trash, your styrofoam, plastic
That's,
wrapping.
Mr. Bosworth
Wrapping.
indicated to me when we were designing this, that stuff is brought back to the main store and recycled. So he doesn't really have the intention, though, we explain that, you know, trash enclosure has to be provided. Should the need arise, you have to have a spot for it, but his operation is that they will bring those, because they recycle those materials, so they would bring those back to the main
Yeah,
store.
all the cardboard goes down to DPW or DPW and they get rid of it there, yeah.
You'll provide, in accordance with number 13, details about the pavement durability and thickness for the turning movements?
Yes,
Pavement should be called out on the.
Yeah, we would agree.
Technical.
yeah, 14, we would agree.
There's a note that the lighting appears the minimum ordinance required. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Lighting locations, foot candles, that's all laid out in the plot, in the plan, right?
Correct.
Foot candles.
That's
Or,
just factual statement, correct.
State highway, curbing, sidewalks, and repair will comply with all state highway standards. You need
And
permits
we,
from that,
we
right?
do have, yes, and we've submitted those, as I indicated in my introduction. We had to make a couple of changes, because they don't allow, they didn't allow, even though we had a 2-way driveway and the exit from the building, they wouldn't allow that, so we had to modify it. But we have since modified it, resubmitted. We have NJDOT approval, subject to, this is actually consists of 2 lots. We have to do a lot consolidation. So once the lots are consolidated, they'll issue their formal approval.
Right, so normally the planner would go after the testimony of everybody, but we have Mr. Bonsberg, but you've discussed with him the operation. So putting on your planning hat now, if,
Is the architect gonna testify, or?
we
I just
can
had-
have him testify.
I just had a question about the, the height.
Sure, if that's right, Mr. Strunches, if I could have Mr. Rucker come up. We'll tap out Mr. Carr here for a moment. Please raise your right hand.
I swear affirm a testimony I give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Name and profession.
Paul Rugarber, R-U-G-A-R-B-E-R, architect registered in the state of New Jersey, appeared before this board and many others.
Satisfaction.
In the last 2 months. Yes,
Thank you.
please proceed.
Can you address Mr. Clayton's question about the height?
I didn't ask you yet.
I'm sorry.
So obviously you're knocking down the building that's there.
That's correct.
And you're putting up a brand new structure. So I was just trying to, I guess, understand, you had mentioned that with the circulation in the doors, why you couldn't come in at the, the height requirement and why you're over.
So it's a couple factors. One is that the taller trucks need to go through, so we needed taller overhead doors in order to get in there, which forced our first floor ceiling height higher. Because we have the large spans in there, we also have a 2-foot floor system, and then up top, we kept it smaller to a 9-foot ceiling height in there. Our site also slopes up about 2 feet, so overall height is taken from top of curb. We raise up about 2 feet going into the building, so that essentially we have a 35-foot allowable height, but it's taken from top of curb, so when we go up to grade, if you measured from grade, we'd be about 35 foot 9 inches, which means that we would only be over 9 inches, but I know they measure from top of curb, so we lost about 2 feet in that transition because our site does come up higher. And then the other factor is just trying to keep that look of a residential and not have one big flat building like all the commercial buildings in the area. So we could drop that roof height down, but I don't think aesthetically that helps the town. So we kept a 7 pitch on the roof in order to be able to show some of that, make it look more like a residential character in there, and make it more appealing. Being as this building is set back from the other warehouse buildings where they are, it's probably about 10 feet further back. We felt that having that nicer roof line, a little bit more height there, it's not as in your face, so asking for a slight height allowance, we figured that would be a more benefit to the town than dropping it down, having an uglier building. That way.
Why is the second floor 9 versus, say, the standard 8?
Just a matter of storage of furniture. A lot, they have bigger pieces, so in order to get things up and stand them up and work them the way they do, it needed as much ceiling height. You wanted taller ceilings in there, so again, we're trying to jockey the needs of the client versus the town looks and what the intention is, and we felt this was a halfway that met both in purposes.
It's gonna be a freight elevator?
Yes, there'll be a freight elevator in there as well as a staircase. So you can see when it's toward the front of it, or toward the back of the building, we have the freight elevator. Toward the front, we have the freight elevator, and the back is the staircase in there. And then we have a bathroom on each floor as well.
That's what we call an open floor plan.
That is an open floor plan, yes.
These renditions are yours, correct?
That's correct.
And we're gonna keep the, like the same type of vegetation in this?
Yes, that was taken off of the, right, so you see here the,
Oh,
go back
I'm
there.
sorry, I'm doing what I do. There we go.
Yeah, essentially we use that as a gauge, the landscape plan from the engineer, so we're trying not to embellish and show you trees that are not existing. That's the landscape. proposed.
This looks, I believe, a little different. There's no trees in the rear.
You're talking about-
So you'll keep it looking exactly like this, yep?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I can't
you'll
say
have
the
that.
exact species as far as what
Yeah.
we put into that, but this is size of plant
Blue
going
spruce.
around there.
And
Blue
then
spruce
you'll,
only.
again, if you were gonna replace, right, you gotta replace the trees, or we were talking about replacing the trees.
Correct, the
Is
trees
that,
that are out here.
those would be in the front, not the back. And there, in your picture, looks like you have like arborvitae's in the back.
Along the line in the
Yeah.
back there, yes. I'm not sure if we had the, that may have been an embellishment on the rendering part.
Is there room there for it? They're shown back by the dumpster. Can we put, Mr.
Again, I was just asking.
All right, so along here, I'm not sure that we have the space for that, to put them in, or whether that was a requirement that is up against the train tracks there, so I'm not sure. The building hides them for the most part anyway. I'm not sure what value that has. Other architectural questions?
I think the main concern was why the roof was
The-
where it
the-
was.
Yes. Sorry, yes, that was my.
Okay.
So I have the planning next with Mr. Carr, but if I could bring Mr. Bonsper up real quickly, so then the planning can go after all of that. With permission, Mr. Bonsper, come forward. Raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear affirm and testify that you before this board will read the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Have a seat. Thank you. Mr. Bonsper, you're the applicant here, and you are the proprietor of Point Beach Interiors, right?
Yes,
Located on Arnold Avenue in downtown Point Beach.
yes.
How long have you been there?
Had that building 29 years.
And you've heard us explain to the board or me, so tell the board, why do you seek to use this location to store, and what do you plan to do with it? Why is it essential for your business?
Well, I've always been using it behind, in the store itself, we have a section that we've always used, but I'm getting older, my children are taking over, and they're doing a little bit different buying than I've done over the years, and they're backing up some stock that we're selling quickly, and I can't get it in quick enough, so that we need storage area that it comes in, and then it can go back out.
Do you anticipate bringing customers or shoppers to this location?
No.
Never. And how many employees will come here?
I have a part-time kid that will be there opening boxes, usually in the morning, and then I have my son, a driver, and a helper, and they'll go over, pick things up, bring it to the store, or make deliveries.
So you heard the description of tractor trailer will stop in the front, do some unloading. How often will that happen?
I usually get 3 trucks a week.
And right now they go to your Arnold Avenue, right?
No, I'm renting where A110s is now, so they go there now.
They go there now.
So we usually unload right off the street there. Some of the older drivers know how to drive if there's room in there, and they pull in there, but most of the younger guys,
So you're already unloading, you're already using this action.
right next door.
Got it.
And it works.
That's where,
You don't get a full truckload of stuff, it's partial truckload.
No. I used to, no more.
All right, so hours of operation?
My earliest truck is there at 9 o'clock, latest is usually 2 to 3.
All right, really, those are all the questions I have for Mr. Bonsper, unless the board has additional
Well,
questions.
you were just explaining before how the vans will be on site, right?
That
They'll
is
park
correct.
overnight.
Right now, we were parking there, on the lot, empty lot, and now we're parking, you'll see our trucks in front of A110s.
I know, I guess, Mr. Neal, you asked whether inside, outside, I guess it really doesn't matter, they could be any.
Yeah.
They're the only ones who were using it, so they could just park right in their driveway anywhere.
Yeah, it's the 3
It's
boys
not a
and me, and
circulation
that's it.
thing.
And it's an unmanned warehouse. You know, trucks come in, they call us, we go over, we unload it, we go back to the store. Boys go out in the morning.
Hold on a second, Lorraine. Especially you, I describe you as soft-spoken.
Sorry. I listen to that train every day. Boys go out in the morning, make deliveries, come back, and then they reload, and they'll go afternoon in deliveries, and then we'll park the truck.
Anyone else on the board have any questions of the operation owner? How it's gonna run, the whys, the hows? Nope. Think you're good?
Thank you. For landscaping, I do have a plan, I definitely want trees in the back there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can fit them, looking at the plan. You might be able to get them by the dumpster across the whole back. I don't think it'll happen.
We
Looking
can get
at them.
some columnar evergreens back there.
Yeah.
There's enough space back there
There is.
to get some.
Maybe in the front, on the left and the right? Not on the left?
In the back, you mean?
You're saying where those 3 shrubs are
You mean back here?
back there, that's,
So
No.
it's the-
I was talking about like up front.
That area, I'd recommend you keep for the recharge area. That's an ideal spot for that.
Where's Circle
That
One?
left side, left of the driveway,
left of the driveway.
yeah,
Uh,
there, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cora, you want to put on your planning hat
Sure.
and address the D variance?
Yeah, this,
Why does it make sense for the board to issue a D variance?
well, it's a D1 use variance. I'm sure the board's quite familiar with these. Warehouse is not permitted in a highway commercial zone. We already talked about it earlier in my testimony. It's one of those uses that's not allowed in any zone. Though, just next door, and if you include the boat storage building, we have 2 larger warehouse buildings right next to us. So one of the things, arguments for D use variance is proves that it, when it's not inherently beneficial, is the site particularly suited for the proposed use, is one of the proofs we must put on. And certainly if you look at this corridor here, this site is particularly suited for it, just by the fact that we have a couple of uses that are similar, and other than what's different from that, from our use, is theirs looks like warehousing. And I know as a board, you're trying to, and as the town on whole, you're trying not to get warehouse look throughout an industrial type look. And I think we've accomplished that with this, so we think it's particularly suited for this piece of property. Another prong of a use variance is, does the proposed use further purposes of the municipal land use law? And we think it does in several instances. And basically those proofs are with the municipal land use law. There are several items on there that's consistent with the stated purposes of the municipal land use law, and there's a whole list of them. A couple that I think are particular on this one is item number A, is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And I think we do that in several ways. One is, and case law has substantiated this, that the aesthetics of a site could be a reason. We're taking a site that's underused, an old house on here, and we're improving the aesthetics of it. And there's been a great effort, as you've heard and as you've seen in the renderings, to make it fit in so that it looks anything but like a warehouse. So we think we've done that, and certainly we've taken effects for public health, safety, and general welfare by providing adequate traffic circulation, by providing lighting, and by providing landscaping. Item C in the MLUL is to provide adequate light, air, and open space. And again, we've done that. While we're over in impervious coverage, we still have openness in here. The building meets most of the setbacks, or exceeds it, meets the front, it exceeds the rear requirements. We have a slight deviation on the side setback, but we're actually increasing it over what's existing. So we're at least improving that. And again, we set it back, not necessarily on purpose, but the fact is that this is set back farther than a warehouse to the south. So visually, we have a better impact in there. So we certainly provide light, air, and open space on this plan. And we're well below the allowable building coverage. Item G is to provide for sufficient space in an appropriate location for a variety of uses in open space according to the respective environmental requirements in order to meet the needs of the New Jersey citizens. And again, I think we did that. This is a highway commercial zone. It's certainly fitting. If you look at many of the other uses that would be allowed in here, fast food restaurant, gas stations, banks, retail centers, certainly they would have a greater impact on the adjoining properties. So we certainly think that we meet the appropriate location for a variety of uses. To promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement, that's item L in the municipal land use law. And again, I know I've said it probably half a dozen times, and I think it bears repeating again, that just the aesthetics and the time and effort that the architect and Mr. Bonsberg took in making sure that this is something that is appealing and doesn't look like a warehouse. I think that that goes to that point that there's been some creative design in here in making it so it fits the character of the neighborhood. Item N is to encourage coordination of various public and private procedures and activities shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and to more efficient use of land. And I think that can be said that we meet that criteria by redeveloping a piece of property. Mr. Bosworth looked for a piece of property that one, suited his needs, number two, was located within the town, so that it was efficient use, so he didn't have to go to someplace else, that he had to have to go some industrial use in Bricktown or Jackson and take a lot of time and effort and inefficiency. And I thought he brought that into the character of the neighborhood very well. And the bottom line is it supports the local business. It's and again, as Mr. Jackson indicated, it's more of a ancillary use, and I'm sure Mr. Bosberg would tell you himself that he wishes this was directly next door, so he didn't have to do this, but this was an appropriate place that was available, and it fits well in there. So I think we meet the requirements for the particular suitability. We also have the positive and negative criteria to mention, and use variances, basically there's special reasons that is in the municipal land use, and that's set forth in Burbridge versus Mine Hill. And basically those positive criteria I kind of outlined already through my testimony and with the meeting the items set forth in the municipal land use law. Certainly I think that or hopefully I've done a fair effort in explaining all the positives of here. Better increases a piece of property that's underutilized, keeps a local business in town, and increases or improves his efficiency, so he doesn't have to go outside of the boundaries of the town. And we think that the architectural style and elements complement the surrounding uses. Another positive is the low intensity of this. I've already mentioned that some of the other uses, and I mentioned retail, banks, those types of uses, but some other uses would involve contractor businesses that are allowed to have outside storage, automobile sales that are allowed to have outside storage, and there's no outside storage here. So I think that improves this area as well, and it certainly is a positive. The second criteria that we have to present to the board is the negative criteria. Are there any negative criteria? And it's not that the board can't see negative criteria or that there's no negative criteria, but the board has to weigh the positives against the negatives and decide if the positives outweigh the negatives. And I think clearly this is a case that does that. There's, for the most part, minimal negatives. I think probably the one negative, we talked about it somewhat in detail, is the increased impervious coverage, which is a variance. We are mitigating that by adding some recharge in there. And again, it's a small site, and while we've agreed to add the recharge for the building, technically we are exempt from both the municipal rules and regulations guiding stormwater as well as the state regulations, but we agree with you that certainly it's something that needs to be addressed. So I think we've mitigated that one negative criteria. As far as other negative criteria, I don't see any. This is not something that generates any substantial traffic, doesn't generate any noise, doesn't impact open space, light air and open space. So I don't think there's any negatives to really speak of. I also reviewed the master plan, 2021 master plan update, and it fits well with the goals and objectives. Some of the general objectives of the master plan is to continue developing at prevailing land use densities I think we do that. You can see that by the surrounding uses, and we're similar to those. Pursue opportunities to encourage private investment and reinvestment into existing residential and non-residential properties. And the key word I think there is a reinvestment. This is a property that is somewhat underutilized. It's got the gravel area, it's been used as businesses. At some point, I think it's two units on the property. So I think this is a reinvestment in that property that adds rateable and helps a local business. Another objective of the master plan was to regulate unique and valuable resources to the community and strengthen the borough's resort economy and tax base. And I think we do that by reinvesting in a local business, keeping their facilities on site, maximizing their opportunities. There's also some land use objectives cited in the master plan. Recognize the importance of protecting, stabilizing, establishing residential commercial areas. I think we do that very well. To separate inherently incompatible land uses to encourage adequate traffic separation, buffering, and screening. We do that by keeping this type of business, commercial type of business, in a highway commercial, albeit warehousing isn't. But I think that's such a awkward definition of this project. While if that's the technical term, or maybe the legal term that's used, I think hopefully the board would agree with me that it's probably anything but warehousing on here. To relate land use decisions to be established land use pattern of borough and new development taking place at essentially same scale and intensity. And again, I think we do that. This is not an overly intense use of the site, both traffic-wise and building-wise. So basically, while it's not a permitted use, I think it represents a better land use plan than many of the allowable uses. And again, I've cited some of those: automobile sales, contractor storage yards, building supply storage, fuel supply yards. It's significantly less intense than some of these other uses, including typical retail or service stations or fast food. So I think we meet those criteria. So basically, the reasons set forth in my testimony, it's my professional opinion that the board can find that the project meets the conditions on the municipal land use law, meets the intent of the master plan and the ordinances with no detriment, and that hopefully the board would see fit to approve this D1 use variance, and including the few minor bulk variances that are included with that as well.
Anyone on the board have any other questions? No. You good, Mr. Jackson?
I am.
Ben, in our current state tonight of 5, I know we're usually not iron fist in the sense that we're gonna predetermine that once we go into deliberations, that means the vote has to happen. I think we could give Mr. Jackson an opportunity to kind of hear how the board's deliberating, and then we could make that determination afterward. Is that a fair
Yeah,
way?
that's the discretion of the board, and like you said, not that we normally do it that way, but we're also not setting any precedent or whatnot. I think in light of the fact that we have a use variance case and only 5 members present, it would be a reasonable way to proceed.
Okay, why don't you give us, you're fine with that,
Yes,
Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Can you give us what you got over there for your conditions?
Only special conditions were a drainage plan that would provide for the recharge of the roof drains via dry well plan subject to the review and approval of the board engineer, and a revision to the landscape plan to add back in street trees, location and type, subject to the review and approval of the board engineer.
Yeah, and I think we could leave the back ones off, and if you're able to fit them and do it, do it.
I
but
would
it
almost
seems-
rather the recharge in the back. You're not gonna be able to put trees over any type of French drain. So, I don't, do you think a French drain would suit better than trees there, or?
I mean, it's 6 to 1, half of that. French drain's gonna clog. I think that, recharge
I
system-
mean, it seems like the board's, you know, open on that. I certainly work with Mr. May, and, you know, drainage would come first, landscape be second.
Perfect.
Maybe we can get a little bit of the both in there.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just make one comment, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure we're clear on one thing. Garbage collection for this commercial area, does the town pick up anything? I drive 35 every day, but is that the residences only? I mean, I'm trying to differentiate.
I would
Is there-
think they
is there-
probably pick up for the businesses and everything, right?
Yes, they do, yes.
They're gonna take all the
So,
large cardboard goes
I
over
guess-
to DPW.
I don't wanna throw a monkey wrench in here. I see the guys every morning when I go to work, and they go up the highway. Would it benefit this application to have a small garbage container out front somewhere for those garbage men? So, because how would they, you know, a typical, like a household candy, like you said, most of the cardboard are gonna recycle, but they're, like you said, they have coffee or donuts one day, so they're gonna have household trash, quote unquote.
You mean on garbage night, put it out on the curb, like everyone else?
Yeah, would you want something, a
They can.
small enclosure somewhere on this site in the front for household garbage or not? I'm just
I
throwing it
think-
out there.
I think the enclosure could be anywhere hidden or inside, and just let them bring the garbage to the
Okay.
street. I don't think you have to
I just
create
wanted-
something for it.
Yeah, either that or just the
aesthetically
golf
it
cart's
would
gonna
look
pick it up. I mean, the golf cart scoots up and down the street every
Okay,
morning.
you got the buggies in town too, okay. The second thing was, I just wanna clarify, is my understanding the state's gonna be doing some work here with curb and sidewalk. So you submitted your plan to the state, so, with my comment there, that's a moot point. We're saving the street tree on the left side of the building?
They're just
I
gonna
don't know if
replace
we'd
what,
be able to,
I
but-
don't, yeah.
that
What we
if
would
they
have.
take 2 out, they're gonna put 2 in.
Okay. And if they should have to, based on the testimony, K-turn, can they K-turn? And in that overhead area, is there enough room
Yes,
for a garbage truck?
yes, because that's higher, the same as
And you
with
can
the,
K-turn.
with the doors, yes. Yeah.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you.
And just let the record reflect that there is no members of the public here. We didn't forget to open to the public or ask for public questions. There is no one else here to either ask questions or
And
give
one more
public
thing, the
comment.
water sewer's already already installed?
I believe the water was installed because we were working with the contractor.
I have a 6-inch line, brand new line coming to the curb. already.
I seen the trench out there, I wasn't sure if it
Yeah.
was, but
And then there's also a separate 2-inch or whatever else they.
domestic, okay. I have nothing further, thank you.
All right, get a motion to close for deliberations.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Neal?
Yeah, so my biggest concerns, the impervious coverage, we covered that at length, and I do feel very comfortable with that now. Also the height, right? I wanted to get an understanding of why did you guys need that height? And again, talking about the K turning underneath, making sure that that's possible, as well as the 9-foot second story for storage, right? Storing furniture, so that makes a lot of sense to me. I also think that the design has helped mitigate that by setting it back a little more, so like you said, it's not in your face. And I love the design. I do believe that Mr. McGarver puts out beautiful designs that the town benefits from, so. Also, the side yard setback was a concern, but again, you're moving that even further inbounds, and it's next to another warehouse, let's call it is. So, with all of that being said, the drainage plan, the landscape plan, I'm looking favorably on this.
All right.
Mr. Reynolds?
I'm gonna echo the concerns. I think we all, I won't speak for everybody, but I know the concerns were the height, which has been addressed. The impervious coverage was a little bit funky in how it was explained, but it's understood now. The fact that the building looks the way it does is a great asset, and the fact that it's set back on the northbound lane from the other building, most people aren't even gonna see it. You're gonna scream by, and you're gonna, well, I don't scream by, I go real slow. But, I mean, it's a, like you said when in your opening statement, it's a business that's in town. It makes sense. The hours of operation are not gonna be killing anybody. I'm looking at it a lot better than I was 2 hours ago.
Clayton?
I would echo that comment as far as 2 hours ago. I thought the phrase underutilized was well said. I don't know how many times I've driven by the building, and this was the first time I actually pulled into the parking lot and actually got a good look at it. And I think what they have come up with is 100 times better. And I think I also had concerns with the coverage and the height. Obviously, those have both been addressed, as well as the landscaping, so I am looking favorably on this as well.
Mr. Loader?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this is kind of the weakness we have in our local ordinance about prohibition or permitting something like this. We've actually had a couple cases become before us that were kind of the same issue, as even though we judge each case on its own merits, but this is that type of case. Definitely in line with our master plan to improve the quality of the buildings in town. Excellent work by the architect, really nice looking building. For the D1 variance, I think the positive criteria outweigh the negative criteria, so I'm looking favorable to, for this application.
Yeah, I agree that I believe the site is particularly suited. It's a pseudo warehouse going amongst other warehouses and other businesses in the area. I think if this was listed as an allowable use in this zone, it would be a very easy thing to see there fitting with the other operations that are going on right adjacent and in this proximity. So I think particularly suited is an easy definition. I agree with the planner on the criteria that he cited for the municipal land use law. I do think that those positives of the architectural design, the benefit of business support, and the development of a property that was underutilized are all highly positive. The one negative was really about how we were addressing the water on our engineer's advice of how to deal with that the best. Even though there were various suggestions, I think we've got that nailed to where we're gonna be able to deal with that. It is a low intensity use, and I think it'll be something that is gonna be a nice addition to that area, and will look good, and it'll operate, and it'll help a long-standing business in town that's very successful continue to be that way. And we wanna keep all our downtown businesses occupied because we know there's enough that aren't. So with that, let's get a motion to close deliberations.
So I'll make a motion to close.
Mr. Jackson, you're comfortable with us proceeding
Yes.
with a vote?
Second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion with stated conditions for approval, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Neal, second by Mr. Logue to approve application 2026-18 Paul Bosford, 306 Hawthorne, with conditions. Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Clayton?
Yes.
Mr. Loder?
Yes.
And Chairman Strokes.
Yes.
Application approved.
Thank you very much. Chairman, thank you for that latitude.
Thank you. Get a motion to adjourn?
Your fault, that
So
only,
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
it's not their fault that only 5 people said it. You did that right.
Not shut down.
You're killing me twice this week.
It's also better for the board to get a
In my opinion.
I picked.
I gotta show you something.
Yes, correct. Okay.